Hey everyone, this is Senior Stationery, and thanks again for tuning in for another review. A huge apology as I've been quite busy and I haven't had a chance to make some reviews, but I also was working on getting some interesting stuff to review, so stay tuned for more items to be reviewed. So, thank you Mr. Legoman, and it's nice to see you back again. Today's review is gonna be on the famous and legendary Faber Castell TK9400, their iconic and very famous clutch pencil or lead holder, which is basically based on the very popular and high-end pencil, the 9000, the Castell 9000. If we take a look, this is the pencil. It's also hexagonal, dark green. Currently Faber Castell uses dark green as their main color, and so currently their lead holder is also dark green and semi-hexagonal. If you take a look over here near the middle, it's hexagonal, and then it tapers down until a cylindrical part, and here this version has printed the grade, which is an HB and has a white ring at the end, which has been having one for many years. Over here, rather than ending in a hexagonal form, it has some ridges and also cylindrical form, which makes it easier for compass adapters to grip it, or as well as general gripping area for writing. So this is the current one. This is dark green. I'll give you a brief history and look out on how it has evolved, this famous pencil, and one of my personal favorites because of its great craftsmanship and the weight distribution. So let's take a look. This pencil was born in 1948. It was launched after the pencils. The pencils were already popular and well known, and they launched this clutch pencil for technical drawing, for designing, or for mere sketching. Like its name, the TK, T and K are in German. I don't remember right now their meaning, but I believe it means T for technical and K for like creative or drawing. So this is meant to be like an artist's pencil, but also it's one of probably the most comfortable lead holders or pencils you can use for daily writing. So that's also a great plus, and that's pretty much a reason why it has lasted for so long. So let's take a brief look on their history. As I said, it was born in 1948. In 1958, this pencil launched a special edition made of sterling silver. The whole body was made of sterling silver, and it was a limited edition of 1948 units, just like the year it was born. And it sold very quickly, and they're very rare to find even on internet photos. So it's a nice commemorative edition, and being this year 2018, it should be interesting to see if they also make another special edition, and it will be interesting to see. So to begin with, and looking backwards on the history of this pencil, I want to show you these earlier versions. The TK9400 was both launched in the USA as well as in Germany, and there are different versions. These are the US versions. What's the difference? I mean, you might not be able to notice that much the print, or slightly. I'm going to show it over here through the light. It has engraved AW Faber Castell and the Castell logos, USA 9000, and it has a grade HB. This one has a metal ring at the end and a metal pulsing button, no ridges on the button, and it has a longer metal tip compared to the German ones. This is probably one from around the 1950s or early 60s. The original Faber Castell TK was fully wooden, and it was painted in green and printed in gold lettering. This one is already plastic, so I believe Faber Castell started using plastic around the 1950s. So it was short-lived, the wooden one, and they're very rare and very hard to find the originals from the 1948. So this is probably one of the earliest ones, and I got this from an estate sale. I was lucky to get one. So this is the US one. As you can notice, longer metal tip. This has decolored a bit, so it's not chrome, and rather more brassy looking. This also, the ring is also brass or golden like, and this is still silver color clicker. And then if we look to the next one, this slightly different one, it still has the hexagonal body, same pulsing button, metal end ring, and long tip, except that this one has some grooves for better gripping. And this one, it also has printed AW, Faber Castell Locktite. Locktite is a word that you will, if you're a collector or a pencil enthusiast, will know. Locktite is very common on US versions. And then it says USA, and this one is a 3B grade pencil. Again, this one, the earlier ones were completely hexagonal, and as the time will go by later on, they will start losing their hexagonal form. This one is fully hexagonal. Again, this is probably from the 1950s to early 60s, and this is the US version. Now let's jump to the German ones. Let's take a look now to the Germans. The German ones, like this one, are more interesting looking, have more detailing. You can notice the metal tip. This one has grooves. Oh wait, no, I wanted to show you another one. Sorry, I'll get back to this one. Okay, again, this is also a German one. Now let's pay close attention. This one is still hexagonal barrel, same to the US one. It has also a fairly medium metal tip. It's pretty much longer. It will soon then become much smaller as time goes by. It has the grade mark as part of the plastic. On the inside you cannot scratch it, it's part of the plastic, so that's a good thing. That's a good quality trait for it. It has a rigid metal pulsating button and a white plastic ring at the end, which makes it an interesting touch to it. But then if we take a look at the markings, the full barrel is fully marked or engraved. It has AW Faber Castell, TK, and then 9400 Germany. This model is from around the 1960s. During the 1950s and 60s, they kept the fully hexagonal, like the pencil shape, and eventually they'll start making some changes like around the 1970s or late 60s. No, let me be correct. Around the 1960s, and will eventually change as time and the decades go by. So back to the one that we were seeing. Sorry. This is more around also 1960s. This one does not have a grade, so they also produce non-grade versions. The difference in this one, as time went by, they started fading the hexagonal form and started adding grooves. As you can see, this is not fully circular, but it's rather hexagonal, but they start making grooves. So this was like an improvement on the design. But again, it still keeps most of the whole hexagonal barrel form. In here, at the end, it also starts to fade and starts becoming more cylindrical. So compared to this previous one, this fully one is still fully hexagonal all the way to the end. From the beginning all the way to the end is fully hexagonal. So then around the late 60s, they started to make it less, they start making it rounded at the end, and start to also make it rounded at the beginning with grooves. So this was around the 1960s. And then at some point during the 1950s and 60s, they saw a need to make a pocket one. So from the 9400 comes the 9500, which is the pocket version. This is an earlier one from the 1950s or 60s, because as you can see, this is fully hexagonal, has a full metal tip. Then we have the pulsing bottom and a fixed clip, which is pretty much styled like the 1950s or 60s pens and pencils from Faber Castell. So this is the earliest version one of the 9500. They make this pocket version, so they will fit most pockets of people, and rather the other one was more